Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, and we have a lot to talk about today. Obviously, the Pirates with a major three-team trade that hopefully will add a new bat to that offense. We've been talking relentlessly over this last year on how they need more bats and more run cushion for Paul Skeens during his tenure here. And so hopefully they've added that today with Brandon Lau, and we'll get into that a little bit. And then, of course, the Steelers with a big game in Detroit on Sunday. I'm joined alongside Brian Batko tonight. And Brian, first and foremost, big trade by the Pirates. You know, we were told all week last week at the MLB winter meetings that, hey, the Pirates look like they're actually going to be all in for once in this offseason. But we have heard it over these last 6 years as Ben Sherrington has been GM of this team. And it looks like, though, maybe they are making those moves with this trade today. Yeah,
tough not to like this trade for Brandon Lau, as well as the other two guys, Jake Mangum and Mason Montgomery. Tough not to like it in a vacuum. I think Pirates fans, though, the jilted Pirates fans, jaded Pirates fans, are maybe a little bit more skeptical of moves to come, because I think just when you take this trade in and of itself, even if Ben Sherrington won this one decisively, then you still need to do some more things to make yourself more of a contending team around Paul Skeens. But yeah, I'll give Sherrington credit for this one, but I'll still kind of turn a focused eye to Bob Nutting and company to do more to supplement this move.
Yeah, I mean, I think one positive things fans can look at is, Lau totaled 31 home runs last year for the Rays, and our best hitter for the Pirates, O'Neal Cruz, finished with 20. So that's a substantial difference. Hopefully he adds a little oomph to this offense, and I don't think they're done yet. So.
Watch, he'll fall off a cliff like a bunch of other guys that the Pirates have acquired over the years when the move looked good on paper. And then Mike Burrows, was promising arm last year, but I don't think any Pirates fans will really lose sleep over that one, and he may well develop into a really good pitcher for Houston, but that's moving a guy from a position of depth for the club. So, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world for this front office.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't really impact their pitching rotation. I mean, they have so many stellar pitchers in that group right now, so it's not going to impact that. Guys, remember, too, this is our Penn West University question of the night. Are the Pirates legitimate playoff contenders after trading for Brandon Lau? So let us know. As of right now, it still says no, 73%. I do agree. I think they need to make a couple more moves before we can call them playoff contenders. Now, as for the Steelers, I know people are waiting with bated breath to see if finally they break this decade-long drought of playoff wins, and hopefully they can do that this year. But, Brian, they have a tough task going into Detroit on Sunday, because they're going to have to do it without some major defensive guys. Yet again, TJ Watt will be missing this week, his second straight week after that weird situation with his lung. Nick Herbig is also doubtful. So there's two guys in that group, that in a really strong edge group, and other guys are going to have to step up, like Jack Sawyer. But James Pierre also is going to be out on Sunday. So a lot of defensive injuries, which is very scary when you're going up against a run game that has a 1-2 punch like Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think this is a litmus test for the Steelers and their playoff chances, and particularly the defense, because of those Lions players that you just mentioned. But on the other hand, these are two teams in very different situations Sunday. Obviously, the Steelers are not in yet, and it would help to take care of business in Detroit, because they've got more work to do, and they can continue to keep pace ahead of the Ravens, regardless of what Baltimore does. But the Lions, their season is hanging by a thread. So they're really the desperate team with their backs against the wall. They're an unfamiliar opponent, obviously, for the Steelers, being over in the NFC North, and even kind of an unfamiliar environment. That stadium, as Richie mentioned in his segment, not somewhere that the Steelers have played often over the years, and they always say it's a fast track at Ford Field, so it's a little different kind of speed element to deal with. I talked to a couple players about that this week. At least the ones that I talked to said that's kind of more in your head, and it's not that noticeable. But man, the way the Lions offense moves, it looks noticeable. So as much as this is a measuring stick somewhat for the Steelers, I won't be totally down on their chances to finally win a playoff game if they lose this one.
Yeah, I mean, and the Steelers not super familiar with Ford Field, but their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, very familiar with playing the Lions.
Yeah.
And, you know, he spoke about it on Wednesday. My days this week are, hey, it's the week before Christmas, all right? We're able to get a little jumbled. But when Aaron Rodgers spoke, you know, he said, look, it's not the same rivalry when he was with the Packers. It wasn't the same rivalry as you have with the Bears, obviously, and the Vikings. But, I mean, they are very competitive against the Lions. I mean, the NFC North, as you said, I mean, they kind of beat each other up. And he's had a lot of tough battles out there in Detroit. I would just say, you know, it worries me a little bit. It's a little different now. He's with a different team. A couple years have gone by. So we'll see how he stacks up against this Lions defense that honestly, Brian, is so up in the air. I don't know how to take this defense. I mean, 1 week they look like a top 10 defense. And then the last 4 weeks, I mean, they've been playing in shootouts where opponents are putting up 30 plus. So
yeah, they're dealing with a ton of injuries. I mean, they've got Aiden Hutchinson up front, 9.5 sacks. He's a playmaker. I mean, he had an interception last week against Matthew Stafford, although they ended up getting, they were hemorrhaging points against that really tough Rams offense. He had an interception early in his career against Aaron Rodgers, too, I believe. So, yeah, kind of interesting that, and Rodgers alluded to this on Wednesday, that, you know, the end of his time with the Packers and kind of the end of their run, you know, as the top dog in the NFC North with him under center, coincided with the rise of the Lions under Dan Campbell. And the narrative at that time, I think, was nobody really respected the Lions yet. And some of the performances that they had against Rodgers and the Packers sort of started to shift things for them. And, you know, just a little note here, it's not as if this will be his final game with the Steelers, but his final game as a Packer, they lost to the Lions. His final pass was an interception against the Lions. So not the greatest memories for him against those helmets.
well, maybe he can reverse it and it can be somewhat of a
Yeah, he can
redemption
redeem
story.
himself. He didn't get a chance to go get one more win, likely in his career in Chicago.
Yeah.
So he can go get one more in another city that he used to play in every year.
This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from the Pirates. It is official. We've acquired second baseman Brandon Lau, left-handed pitcher Mason Montgomery, and outfielder Jake Mangum from the Rays, and have traded right-handed pitcher Mike Burrows to the Astros as part of that 3-team deal. So like we said at the top of the show, you know, great trade for the Pirates. We need bats in here in Pittsburgh. They went out, they got a bat. So very exciting. And Mike Burrows, he's been the talk of the town really since middle of last season. When are they going to trade him? Are they going to let him go? What are they going to get for him? And it looks like they held on long enough to get a pretty significant return. So exciting. I mean, it's exciting. But again, we won't know until season starts and everything starts. And on that note, we're going to go out to Chuck in Uniontown. Chuck, what's going on?
Thanks. Thanks very much. Merry Christmas to you, too. I mean, this is a good first step for the Pirates, but they need to do more. You know, they started on, this is the big first step we've been looking for, but they need to do more. And the key thing is, these players have to have quality performances for us. We know they have the track record, but the big payoff is that they have to perform well for us. They can't be bust outs when they get here. If they can have quality performances for us, and we can add some more players, and I hope the Pirates do some more in the off season. Then maybe we can start to think about being competitive with the rest of the league, you know, with the rest of the competitors in our division. But I like this, but I hope this is only the first step. They need to do more yet. But I like the first step, yes.
Yeah. And Chuck, I agree with you, and that's why I said I think it's still very much a wait-and-see situation. I mean, you never know with baseball. You never know how these guys are going to come in here and perform here at PNC Park as opposed to other ballparks. And, you know, it's a tough place to play here. So it's definitely a wait-and-see game. Now, something that's promising, it's only an $11 million deal so for 1 year, and then he becomes a free agent next year. So it still leaves a lot of money on the table. And I say a lot loosely because we know how this organization is run, but it should theoretically leave a lot of extra money left over for them to go out and do other things.
Yeah, to Chuck's point, I mean, that's great. You swung a good trade. It's one that feels like you got great value for what you gave up, but now go do something else that you can't always control who's going to be available via trade or what offers opposing teams are going to take, but you can control spending money to continue to build around Paul Skeens and make this team better. So I think that's what Chuck was getting at too is, yeah, great move here, but there's still something to be said for going out there, signing a well-compensated free agent, which is so rarely seen around here, and yeah, showing the commitment that way as well. And yes, Merry Christmas to you too, Chuck. Thanks for watching and calling.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. All right, let's go out to Michael in Beaver Falls. Michael, what's going on?
Merry Christmas, Cassidy, Smooth, and Brian. Cass, the folks here in Beaver Falls feel like the Steelers have an excellent chance to win against the Lions due to the fact we have major factors. Everybody's inspired by TJ. We have a great secondary. And don't forget, that old man better have a whole box of bubble gum because the special teams are really with it. And I think we have a really good chance, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, Michael, I mean, I wish I was as optimistic as you are. Look, I think at the end of the day, again, it's just, I don't know how they're going to stop this run in Detroit. Without TJ Watt, Nick Herbig is now doubtful, not questionable, but doubtful. So obviously, Alex Highsmith, it's great that, he's going to be there and be a leader of that team in that game. And Jack Sawyer is going to have to step up big. But that's just such a group where I feel like a lot of this defensive identity lies. And having potentially two big key playmakers not playing in the game, I feel like that might affect the unit as a whole. But, I mean, hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, this team's banged up right now, Michael, and, the optimism is appreciated. But, you've got Isaac Seumalo out this week with a triceps injury. Spencer Anderson, I think, is okay. I think he's a solid replacement at left guard, but it's more about the trickle-down effect where they've really liked using that jumbo package with Anderson, which would be great to establish the run and keep the ball away from that dynamic Lions offense. But are they still going to be able to use that? Would they slide Andrews Pete in there at guard or use somebody else as the tackle eligible? I don't know. And obviously Herbig is doubtful. TJ Watt, they were inspired by him last week maybe. Perhaps that helped them play as well as they did against the Dolphins. I don't know how long that kind of emotional boost can last. And I think the Lions, with the home crowd behind them, loud environment at Ford Field, the snap count will be tricky for Aaron Rodgers and those offensive linemen. So I am not as optimistic, but it's not like this Lions team is infallible or what they were the last couple seasons. Again, they've got so many injuries in the secondary, and even some of the guys that they acquired this offseason really haven't lived up to expectations.
Yeah. All right, let's get one more caller in here. Let's go to Dave in Munhall. Dave, what's going on?
Yeah, with the injuries to the edge rushers, is it worth bringing Matt Judon in for a look?
I mean, I think they probably would have done that by now. And if it were earlier in the season, Dave, maybe. But their move to kind of backfill for TJ's lung issue and then to some extent Nick Herbig's hamstring was an old friend in Jeremiah Moon. So he is back on the 53-man roster. I'm sure they can get some snaps out of him here and there. But, yeah, that's interesting that Matt Judon was cut this week and is out there as a veteran. I mean, what's another 30-some-year-old guy to join the 2025 Steelers?
Yeah, he did sign with the Bills tonight. So
he did. I missed that.
Ago.
All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's off the table. But, look, with the edge rushers, I think these injuries, I'm hoping these injuries are not long-term situations. And, I mean, we've talked a lot about how stopping the run game is going to be concerning in Detroit, with the two big missing pieces. But they still have a solid defensive front. I think it's really awesome that Derek Harmon is back. Y.A. Black continues to be impressive. So they still have a strong front, which I think is very helpful. And yeah, so we'll see how this pans out, but definitely a lot of injuries right now. Hopefully this week we can get those guys back for down the stretch, because the final 2 games are going to be really, really tough. And Brian, we've talked a lot about this run defense and the edge rushers that are injured for this weekend and how unfortunate that is going to be. But a glimmer of hope, the offensive side of the ball. It was so impressive to watch them ball out on Monday night. And I think what's so even more impressive is when you look at the stat sheet after a game like that, just how it's scattered across so many players. It's not one guy, not 2 guys that are making these plays, but it's scattered over all of these offensive guys. And I think it's really cool to see a whole unit like that performing well like that. Yeah,
and at least through 2 games, it's just apparent how much more of a rapport that Aaron Rodgers has with Adam Thielen and Marquez Valdes-Scantling than he did with Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin. And I don't think those latter 2 are bad players by any stretch, and they've got a lot more NFL football ahead of them than the first 2 I mentioned. But at least for right now, if you've got 3 games and some change left with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, it probably makes sense to get some guys that he's comfortable with, put them out there, put them on the field. And while they haven't been making a ton of plays, it just seems like it's opened up some things in this offense. And, Rodgers has said all along, he's going to throw to the open guy, whoever that is.
Do you think it's an age thing?
Might be a size thing. They're both bigger bodies. Yeah. But, age in the sense of experience, yeah, precise route running, knowing the signals, picking up on kind of those unspoken things at the line of scrimmage that are happening. So, we'll see where the development goes, especially for Roman Wilson, who healthy scratched the last couple weeks. But Thielen and MVS have seemingly unlocked some things for Rodgers in this passing game.
Has Roman Wilson, it's still so early in his career, but up until this point, this is his 2nd year here. Would you categorize him as not so much a disappointment, but a little bit of a letdown? I mean, he had such high hopes. Everyone, charted him so high coming out of the draft. People were really excited to get him in Pittsburgh, and he hasn't really done much. Yeah,
I think that's fair. I talked to him this week at his locker, and he's keeping a positive mindset. He said, one day we're all going to look back at this moment and laugh when things are going well for him. So Steelers fans certainly hope so.
Well, I hope so too, for his sake. All right, guys, that's the total right there. No, 88% the Pirates are not legitimate playoff contenders after trading for Brandon Lau. Hey,
but it's a good move. Be optimistic. Yeah. Why be cynical so close to Christmas?
It is a good move. Hopefully they make more. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'll see you tomorrow night. Same place, same time.
And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Rich Walsh.